highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her. Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Hello, 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 everyone. This is Louise Hicks, and we are going live on Facebook. We're going live. Hello, hello, hello. We are going live, everyone. This is your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour, where we go live every Sunday around 1-ish Central Standard Time. And again, I am your host, Louise Hicks of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. And by all means, please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, leave comments, give a thumbs up. And my YouTube channel is Aimed to Purpose Radio. Again, that's AIMED, aimed, the number 2, Purpose Radio. So please go to my YouTube channel. There's lots of information out there that can inspire you to live your best life and to have a wonderful, inspiring life so that you can help bring about change into the world, because we need it. We need more love. It's enough chaos. And that brings me to my topic for today, which is let's talk born Black, breathing Black, dying Black. Kyrie Irving, a man in search of his roots. And is that wrong? A young millennial who is about 30 years old, I believe, along with my daughter, somewhat similar age, because she's about 33. So we're going to talk about this topic today. And I'm going to have guests later on in the show, and I'll share that with you, because not in this particular podcast. I'm going to be doing another one around 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which will be 6 o'clock Central Time and 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So again, I'm Louise Hicks. I'm happy to be here. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're all doing well, and thank you for joining me on my podcast. And as I mentioned and advised everyone when I first started this show back on January 30th of this year, 2022, I informed everyone that anyone and everyone is always welcome to come in to my podcast, share in it, and be a part of it, because that's how we bring peace and harmony into the world, with us understanding one another. And that's why I started this podcast, because my priority is to elevate my people, the Black people in America, and it can inspire across the world, the globe, because that's what we did when my son, Kenan Wesley Mason, and I did our podcast in Hollywood back starting in 2014, Aim to Purpose the Radio. And we had a great time. We had guests from all over the world and of all ethnicities. And when I say all over the world, I mean all over the world. We had the United Kingdom, we had South Africa, we had Brazil, we had Canada, and of course we had America, and we had people of all walks of life and all ethnicities. So with that said, I am going to begin my talk with asking you 3 questions, and I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget them. I ask, who made the decision as to what ethnicity you would be born as? Who made that decision? Of course, I didn't ask to be born Black. I didn't know I was going to be born Black. I'm sure Kyrie Irving didn't know he was going to be born Black. And to add to that, let's do a little James Brown because he says, say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. And I'm saying it loud. I am Black and I am proud. And I'm sure Kyrie Irving feels the same way. He's Black and he's proud. However, we are the only ethnic group in America collectively that really don't know our roots. So there's nothing wrong with that, finding out where your roots are. My second question is, do you breathe air of another source than any other human being on planet Earth? Answer would be no, right? Because we breathe the same air, all of us. And if you take and peel back the layers of skin on each one of our faces, the whole body, we all have that same anatomy. We breathe out of these nostrils here on our nose. We speak out of our mouth. We see out of our eyes. And think about it. We hear out of our ears. We have 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth, and these nostrils to breathe. And maybe we have 1 mouth because we're supposed to listen more than we talk. What do you think about that? My third question, which brings me to the last question I want to ask. Can anyone stop themselves from dying? The answer is no, right? But guess what? Depending on your lifestyle, you may be able to prolong your life. And that's something we all should pride ourselves on, living our best life so that we can live our longest life and live our healthiest life. And at the age of 72, we'll be 70. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I will be 72 on March 4th of 2023. So at the age of 71, I am living my best life. However, I am still in search of my roots. And I learn new things every day, all the time. So with that said, I want to get into my topic for today, which I already stated, born Black. As you can see, I was born Black, breathing Black. As you know, I breathe just like everybody else, but I'm still Black. As you know, dying Black. One day, that's something we all will have to face. And I will be dying Black. And that reminds me, I think there was a movie that came on where with Godfrey Cambridge, I believe that's his name because I go way back. And I think he was white in the movie, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and he woke up Black. So do you realize or do you think, what would that feel like if you were white, of white lineage or heritage, ancestry, and you woke up one morning Black? How would that make you feel? And maybe that would be kind of a good thing. So some of us can get a handle on what it's like to be Black living in America. And with that said, like I said, I made myself some notes because I didn't want to forget anything. And when I saw what was going on with Kyrie Irving, and I'll just mention, because I'm going to be speaking more about Kyrie, but Kanye West was the first one to get in trouble. As they used to say when I would be at work and somebody would come to work and they were late and they would say, am I in trouble? Or something else happened. And I said, well, you're here. So why would you be in trouble? You did make it and you're explaining why you made it. So in this case, this young man, Kyrie Irving, made a comment. Well, not a comment, actually. He just posted a link on Twitter. which belongs to Amazon. And the link he shared happens to be a link to the movie Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. And when I started hearing all the commotion, I said, wow, let me go and see what this documentary movie is all about. So I paid to go and check it out on Amazon. And after checking it out, guess what else I did? I bought the books because I'd like to read it, because there were things in the documentary that I knew, but there were some things that I didn't know. And I'm the type of person that always liked to fact check and do my own due diligence. And there was a lot of detail in this documentary. And a lot of us are out here talking, and I guarantee you, a lot of us that are talking have not even seen the documentary and probably haven't read the books. And I did do a podcast this past Monday, and I talked about what I would deem as cowards within our community, because we need to be able to speak up and speak out. That is supposed to be our constitutional right, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And sometimes there appears to be a lack thereof, because there is some consequences, and sometimes those consequences do not meet what some would call the so-called crime. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I don't believe that Kyrie Irving meant any harm, nor do I believe he's anti-Semitic. I believe that this is just what I said, a young man in search of his roots. And is that wrong? No, I do not believe that is wrong to search your roots, because like I said, I'm almost 72 and I'm still searching for my roots, because we're the only ethnic group, again, that really don't know our roots, because we were brought to this country against our will. And we were forced to come here. Unlike some people who come here legally, or come here legally, they're not forced. We were forced, and not only forced to come here, God forbid, we were enslaved, and our ancestors built this country through all of the atrocities, rapes, castrations, mutilations, beatings, horrendous beatings that left scars. Yet we thrive, and we have a right to be in search of our roots. We have that right. And I respect anybody that would like to know who they are, who we are. So, with that said, when I heard about all of these commands that were put upon Kyrie Irving, I was appalled as a member of the Black community, particularly living in the 20th and continuing on into the 21st century, and the things that I have seen, the racism that I have endured and experienced. I was appalled, because not only do all of these commands and everything that has been put out here about anti-Semitism and so forth, and by no means, nor am I anti-Semitic. I am not. I brought my kids up to love people and to treat people the way they want to be treated, and to help them to understand why they're so hated in this country, the root cause of it, which the root cause and the origin is slavery. And we can't get away from that, no matter how some of us in America try to avoid that. We cannot get away from that. That is the root cause of a lot of this chaos that's going on in America. And we didn't create it. And nor did Kyrie Irving. And I was appalled, because as a Black woman that's almost 72 years of age, I have experienced so much hate doing employment, housing, medical, you name it. And I guarantee you, not only me, most of us, or all of us as Black people, have experienced some type of racism. And a lot of you talk about Oprah. Even she experienced racism several years ago. A lot of you probably don't even know this. She was in another country and the people saw her Black face and they figured, oh, she can't afford this. So go and do your due diligence, do your research. And like I said, I watched the movie, the documentary, Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. And at the end of it, whether a lot of you know or not, there were some white gentlemen promoting the books. It's a 3-volume book. They were promoting it and saying, go get it, go read it. And stop thinking like we as Black people are a bunch of bumbling idiots, that we can't review something or watch a movie and not be able to discern with our wisdom without being prejudiced against somebody else or hating another ethnic group. As I said, I raised my children not to hate, in spite of everything that's happened over here in this country, because that's how I was raised, with values and morals, to respect all ethnicities, no matter what color you are. Respect, love one another. We're supposed to be built on as a Christian nation. However, where's the love? And there was another song, can't remember who sang it, but it used to go something like, where is the love? And I'm not a singer, but something like that. And whoever sings it, you guys can do your due diligence and find it. But let me ask you this question. I asked you 3. What do you think would have happened if Kyrie Irving had posted a link of some of the Black exploitation movies? And there were many of them. Like I said, I'm almost 72, so I know about all of them. Used to watch them. Shaft, the movie with Fred Williamson. Shaft was Richard Roundtree. What's the lady's name? Her name doesn't come to me right now, but she did some of those movies too. So with that said, what if he had posted some of those links to some of those Black exploitation movies that were made in Hollywood? Or what if he had posted a link to some of these hip hop gangster rap songs that exploit us as Black women, calling us bitches and hoes and encouraging and promoting drug abuse within the Black community, alcohol abuse, killing of one another within the Black community? What if he had posted those types of links? And we know those movies, they're made in Hollywood. We know where the music industry, where they get their money from. Those executive producers, music moguls, we know. And all of that is an exploitation of our people, our young people. That's, some of them are doing drug overdoses and they're killing one another. Yet, Brooklyn Nets, where were you when all of this is still happening with these rappers and hip hop? Where were you? And your team is over 70% Black. So all of these commands, have you done any of them to help your team members that are Black and non-Black understand the plight of Black America? Because there has been a plight and it's still a plight. So have you done these commands yourself, Brooklyn Nets? I'm asking you a question. And if you haven't, I'm going to go through the 6. And I would challenge you to look in your own mind and your heart and genuinely think about, just because this young man is in search of his roots, does that make him anti-Semitic? I don't think so. In fact, I know It does not. So let's go through these commands that you have up on Kyrie Irving, the young millennial that is highly intelligent, because I'm sure he came from a great background. In fact, I did a little bit of research about him. And allegedly, according to what I read, his mother passed away when he was about 4 years old. His father and some aunts of his helped to raise him. And they did a good job. A father, a Black father at that. And I understand that his father was into the athletic industry as well. And I'm not going to go into detail about that, but I just wanted to share that. He was raised apparently by a strong Black man that knew who he is or was, knew who he is. So he raised his son with values, obviously, because this is a very intelligent young man. So with that said, let me go through these 6 pretty quickly. Number 1, apologize. These are the commands that you, Brooklyn Nets, have put upon Kyrie Irving. That's, as far as I'm concerned, is undeserving, and I pray that he does not go through these commands, because this impacts negatively upon all of us as Black human beings that just want to breathe and live our best life as Black people in America and stop all the hate that's going on. So apologize. Now, who's going to apologize for all the pain and hurt and suffering that we have gone through in America as a result of slavery? Who's been asked to apologize for that? And have they apologized? I'd like to know the answer to that, because of what's going on within our Black community, particularly now, modern day, 21st century, with all of this demeaning hip hop music, gangster music, that's spewing out anti-Black racist hate within our community. Who's going to apologize for that? And like I said, I'm appalled at these commands. As a Black, almost 72 years of age woman, I am appalled because of what I have lived through and what I've seen in America. And I ask a question. The man merely posted a link. He didn't tell us to go watch it or anything. He just posted a link. It's up to us with our brilliant melanated minds to make a decision on whether we will watch it or not. And I chose to watch it. And I chose to buy the books, by the way. So where is all the fear? Why is a link making all of this commotion and all of this fear? Who's fearing what? We know there's a history of beating the strongest Black man. And if you don't believe it, read the Willie Lynch letter or go back in history and do some of your research. The Willie Lynch letter tells it all, the making of a slave. So we have to start speaking up and speaking out. And I keep my cup near. It says, speak up. I always keep this near. Speak up. Speak up. I keep it near. And it's important too. I keep this one near. This is from Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. So we should be sharpening each other's tools. And we don't have a problem when other ethnicities are sharpening each other's tools, having their meetings and so forth, teaching one another and teaching us as well, because we learned about the Holocaust, what a horrendous atrocity that was. But our atrocity was here in America for hundreds of years. So we need to search out our roots, and I have no problem with that. So, like I said, who's going to apologize for us for all of the Black exploitation, all of the Black hip hop, racist, anti-Black music that's still going on, and other people that are producing it and signing these contracts, they're laughing all the way to the bank without any concern for our feelings. And this is about feelings being hurt. And he did apologize. He apologized. But then you go Brooklyn Nets and you want to add all this other stuff. Number two, $500K donation. I think that's sad. A $500 donation. Why? 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 Who's apologizing to us for the Hollywood exploitation movies, the hip hop rappers, the gangster music that's exploiting our Black community? So let me ask you this. Like I said, I want to put you to a challenge. I've already asked you who's going to apologize to us. Let me ask you this question. Will the Brooklyn Nets pay $500 to every Black community that has suffered significant damage as a result of all the hip hop, gangster rap music that's being spewed in our community, hurting and damaging our children, mothers losing their children because of killings, our children not being able, some of them, to realize and recognize their dream, their vision, their hopes, their aspirations, because they're listening to the wrong message, a message of denigration to Black women like myself. We're bitches and hoes, and by no means does that description fits me. It doesn't fit me. Nor does it fit many of our Black women. Yes, some of us have inappropriate behavior, but that's in all ethnicities. However, because of the atrocities suffered in this country by us, we need to put our behavior in check and in alignment and unify with one another. So no, I'm not going against Kyrie Irving. I'm not calling him an idiot like Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal, when it has been alleged that Shaquille O'Neal showed the movie in his theater in New Jersey. He allowed it to be showed, whether he showed it or not. Just like Amazon is allowing the movie to be seen, allowing the books to be sold. And the author of the books and the movie, Ronald Dalton Jr., I have not heard people speaking ill will and telling them, Jeff Bezos, you got to stop showing this now. You think he'll listen to you? You got to stop selling these books now. So everybody is jumping on the backs of this one man who went in search of his roots and posted a link. So Brooklyn Nets, are you going to willing to pay $500,000 to each Black community for the exploitation with all of this hip hop music that many of these producers and executive people, music industry is signing to exploit the Black community? Challenge number two. Challenge number three, sensitivity training. Like I said, I've been around for almost 72 years and I've gone to sensitivity training where I worked. I've gone to it. However, my sensitivity training is challenged every day when I step out of my front door. And sometimes I don't have to step out of my front door. Some of us, it's right there in our house being challenged when you can break in and just shoot somebody. So my sensitivity is challenged every day. However, I always think of what my parents taught me. Think about how you want to be treated before you speak bad or ill will of someone else. And look into their heart and their genuine spirit to see who they really are and whether they mean you harm or not. Those are values that in my day, Black people taught their children, and many of us just kind of got off balance. And a lot of us got off balance more in the millennials generation and the Gen X generation, more of us got off balance. And a lot of that had to do with some of us baby boomers getting off balance by getting into the drugs and alcohol that the Black people didn't bring into this country, didn't dump it into our neighborhoods. However, nobody made us take it now, because I didn't take the okie doke, so to speak. I wanted to keep my mind sound so I can be able to use my melanated intelligence that God has given all of us, really. However, it's how we use it that makes the difference. So just think about it on this sensitivity training. Brooklyn Nets, can your organization, including your upper echelons, get sensitivity training on how to treat other ethnicities as you desire to be treated when they are in search of their heritage? Has that kind of sensitivity ever been done or taught by the Brooklyn Nets? And I tell you what, like I said, I've been around almost 72 years. I have a bachelor's degree in social work. And I got my degree right out of high school, put myself through college against the odds in 4 years, mind you, right out of high school in 4 years, because I had a vision, because of what I had seen as a child, how we were treated. And plus, I was well read. I loved to read. I would read a lot as a child. I don't read as much now as I used to because of my time and so forth. But like I said, I love to read, and I want to know. I want to know. And we as Black people, we got to start doing more due diligence, more reading, so we can better understand ourselves and others. So with number 3, I challenge you, because I wonder, does anyone or all of your players who happen to be 72 or 73% Black or whatever they are, because that's the makeup now. And why is that? Must be something in us that you see, because you've chosen, and your teams did not start out Black. But once you recognize and realize how much money you could make off of us, our young sons, you decided to change your methodology and say, we better start going with these Black people because they can play ball. And then you find out they have a brain, that we have a brain. And then you decide, well, maybe we better go and make one a coach on the NBA. And guess when that happened? 10/31, October the 31st, 1950, Earl Lloyd became the first Black player to play. You didn't make a coach then, because you didn't want to go too far. You just decided, well, hey, we better make a coach. Make a player with Earl Lloyd. The man was allegedly 21 years of age at the time. He became the first Black player to play in the NBA at 21 years of age, Earl Lloyd. Amazing, huh? In 1950, October 31st, 1950. 20th century. And this country was found much, much earlier. Keep that in mind now, much, much earlier. And you didn't get your first coach until some years later. What does that tell you? From what I read, the first Black NBA coach was Bill Russell, who passed away recently. May he rest in peace. And that was in April of 1966. Still 20th century now. But it didn't start out that way. So we didn't start out on equal footing. So who's going to apologize? Who's going to pay us $500,000 for all of the atrocities that have been leveraged against us, merely because, look at our skin? But you peel back that skin, and what do you see? So who do you think needs sensitivity training? So can I challenge you to do this sensitivity training? Brooklyn Nets. Okay. Number 4, anti-Semitic training. Have you ever had Brooklyn Nets and anti-Black racist training, since most of your team members are Black? Have you ever had an anti-Black racist training within your organization, from the higher echelon all the way down? Have you ever done that? If not, I'd like to see you do that, because you know what you could do with that? You could help make the world a better place. And I tell you what, I have the credentials, and I would volunteer to help get some scholars together to do the training. There are lots of scholars out here that can do the training, and mainstream media won't even have them on their networks. Why? Where's that fear coming from? And I've met one of them, Dr. Claude Anderson, have pictures with him. He wrote multiple books, one being Black Labor, White Wealth, the other being Powernomics. And I read Black Labor, White Wealth back in the 1990s. The 1990s. Dr. Claude Anderson, who's in his 80s, a pioneer to help our people better understand how we need to unify an appropriate behavior so that we can elevate ourselves into a higher consciousness. And what is wrong with that? I don't see anybody else out here trying not to elevate their people, their ethnic group, because we're all human beings. We're all one nation under God. However, are we all treated as one nation under God? And the answer is no. No, we're not. And that's not just us as Black people either. However, we're treated the worst. So what are you fearing? So as number 4 says, I challenge you to have an anti-Black racist training so that we can better understand one another. Your team members can play in more harmony, perhaps, once they know the why, the reasoning behind us as Black people looking for our roots and searching, because some people don't understand that we were enslaved. In Texas, they even tried to dismiss it and hide it in the textbooks being taught in school. And some were saying, oh, our little kids don't need to know about that. Some white people. And this is nothing negative directed toward white people either. These are just facts of how we've been treated. It's okay for our kids to go through school and being called niggers and go back to Africa and all of these negative things. I've been called a nigger by a little 2nd grade white child when I was in California, because that's where I came from. And I'm in Texas now. And I'll be going back to California next week to check on my son that I've shared with, had cancer at 14 and went on to battle drug addiction and depression. And I had some challenges when he was hospitalized as a young Black boy, 14 years of age. I had challenges. So let's think about it and look within ourselves and our hearts to see what we're doing to contribute to all of this hate that's going on out here in the world today, in America, because I live in America, so I'm talking about America. So can you, Brooklyn Nets, have some type of sensitivity training on the anti-Black racism that's been going on since the inception of slavery in America? And it's so obvious, because why you never had a Black player on the NBA until 1950 with, what did I tell you his name is Earl Lloyd. Didn't have a Black coach until Bill Russell, and that doesn't just go for the NBA, it goes for the other sports too. The Negro Baseball League had to have their own league before Jackie Robinson was allowed to play. And we could think too, we could say, oh, well, they just allowed them to play because they are using them because it's a money maker. We're money makers for the rich. getting richer, wealthy, getting wealthier. How do you think that makes us feel as Black people when we're asked to be trained on something else when nobody publicly, collectively of this magnitude is talking about training on the sensitivity of anti-Black racism? Okay, Brooklyn Nets, I challenge you to that one. Number 5, meet with local Jewish leaders. Okay. Have you ever allowed your team, Brooklyn Nets, to meet with local Black scholars to get a better understanding of us as Black people? And maybe you'd better understand why Kyrie Irving is looking and searching for his roots. Have you, Brooklyn Nets, done this challenge? Met with Black scholars? And when I say Black scholars, I mean intelligent Black scholars, such as Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Boyce Watkins. Intelligent Black scholars. Dr. Claude Anderson was in the Carter administration. He wrote the books, like I said, Powernomics, to help us as Black people elevate ourselves and stop the inappropriate behavior and unify with one another so we can collectively elevate ourselves. Dr. Boyce Watkins, who I admire because he's a strong Black man who has a platform and many followers, and he's a finance with a PhD, a finance Black man with a PhD, and he's very intelligent. However, normally, you're not going to see Dr. Anderson on mainstream media because maybe he thinks too Black. He wants to elevate his people, just like all the other ethnic groups wants to elevate their people. There's nothing wrong with elevating your people to understand who you are and to unify together and work together in harmony, because that can bring about harmony with all ethnicities once we understand each other and know who we are. And all of this hate is directed more at us than anybody else, any other ethnic group. And we've suffered more atrocities than any other ethnic group in America that's living in America, modern day. And I can tell you about a lot of them because I've suffered a lot of them. I recall a lot of them. The Black-White Fountain. I went to a segregated Black school because we couldn't go to school with whites. Not that that mattered, because I didn't need to go to school with a white person to get an education. I got an exceptional education in my all-Black school. Exceptional, because they cared. So, are you going to meet that challenge and have some Black scholars, intelligent Black scholars, to come in and have some sensitivity training with your local Jewish leaders or your local leaders, including Black people too? They need to be included. We need to be included. That's the problem, a lack of inclusion. I've had it on my job where white people just walk about their merry way, not even working. And then we're treated like second-class citizens. You better get this done, get that done, get this done. And I'm the one that speaks up. I'm not your second-class citizen here. If you want me to get that done, I will come. I'm giving you exceptional work. I'm doing my job. But what about the white people over here that's not doing theirs, and they're walking around doing whatever they want to, and you're not saying anything? So we have to learn to document these things too. Because when you document and you're able to articulate yourself, nobody can take this away from you up here. What's in your brilliant melanated brain? No one can take that away from you. So that challenge, Brooklyn Nets, are you going to meet with any of these Black scholars so that you can learn something about the plight of Blacks and why it's important that we search and find out where we came from without hurtful feelings? Because when we put our feelings in it, that's subjective. It's not being objective. And I believe in looking at things from an objective standpoint. I don't care who you are and what ethnic group you are. And not just Look at they hurt my feelings. I get my feelings hurt all the time. Like I said, being a Black woman living in America for almost 72 years, I get my feelings hurt all the time. But I don't go weeping and holding my head down because I know where my power comes from. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says, it's in 2 Timothy 1:7. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And I'm exercising mine right now. So that's a challenge. Number 6, meet with Joe Tsai. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the owner of the Brooklyn Nets. So my challenge to you, Brooklyn Nets, is to meet with your conscience. Meet with your conscience. And whoever you serve as your higher power, like I just quoted that scripture from the Bible about the spirit of fear, because we should not have the spirit of fear, but of love, a sound mind. That's what we should have. So I challenge you, Brooklyn Nets, to meet with your conscience, first of all, and your high power, and seek within your heart right from wrong. And when you put all of these commands upon this young man merely because he posted a link and people are watching a movie that he has no control over them watching because it's not on his platform, he didn't write the book, but yet you're doing this to him. So that tells me that this is bigger than Kyrie Irving or Kanye West. It's bigger. And as a Black woman, almost 72 years of age, living in America, I know it's bigger. To me, it's saying we can't let these niggers get out of control. And I'm not saying the N-word because I know we're called niggers. That word was created by racist white people. And why Black people want to use it all the time, I don't know. I know why comedians use it because I watched Saturday Night Live and I watched the Netflix Chappelle. And if you watched it, he was brilliant last night. And I like watching him because he has a message. And that message should serve everyone to see. If you're brilliant enough to read his comedy style, you can see what he's saying because he's been through it and he's a Black man and he's a strong Black man. So if you haven't seen Saturday Night Live, go watch it. It should be some clips on YouTube because they always put stuff out there. But I watched it last night and I'm not one for watching a whole lot of TV because I don't want to invest my mind into what Minister Fred Shaw and I talked about when he was on my show, television. So he said, Minister Fred Shaw, who will be on the show later on today at 6 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Pacific Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Minister Fred Shaw. And we're going to do a show a little bit later. And there will be some other guests. It's going to be like a panel. And let me tell you the name of that show, what it's going to be. It's going to be, we're going to be talking about, let me find it here. Fred Shaw III is the founder of Independent Blacks and myself. That's what he's going to talk about. He's going to spearhead. He's spearheading this, but we're going to have some other guests on. Could be Dr. Shema Johnson, who is a Hebrew Israelite. Jewel Bowen, the administrative basic life center point. And I may have my son, Kenan Wesley Mason, on if he's available. But so far, Minister Fred Shaw III is the founder of Independent Blacks and myself. So, well, Independent Blacks, I should say. It's just saying he's going to be on the show when I added myself, but it's called Independent. The topic would be, he's the founder of Independent Blacks. So he's been on my show before, and we'll put the disclaimer out when he comes on and when we do the show. But I challenge you to meet with your conscience and whoever your higher power is, and try and sort out the root cause of why you brought up so much talk and conversation about this movie, Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. Because you may have opened up a can of worms that you didn't realize what you were opening up. But God has a way of putting a spin on everything. And this is my perspective. So perhaps this was a needed conversation. And we know some positivity is coming out of it. Hopefully, it'll help bring some more peace and love to the world with this conversation. So after you meet with your conscious, let's circle back to number 4. Number 3 and 4, I should say, about the training. Because maybe we can all sit down and come to a resolution. These brilliant scholars, if you are up to the challenge that you are putting on Kyrie Irving, but you're not just putting it on him and Kanye West, you're putting these challenges on the entire Black community because of the root cause of why all of this disharmony, lack of harmony, divided, chaotic America that we're living in. There's a root cause. And the root cause for us and a lot of the inappropriate behavior among us, it stemmed from slavery. But some of us don't want to admit it, whether you want to admit it or not. And it's okay if you agree to disagree. I'm just giving my perspective and my own personal experiences living here in America with all the racism I've gone through on, like I say, at the job, the medical field, the housing industry, the food industry. Look in our neighborhood, how many liquor stores are all over the place. Like Malcolm X said, you put the liquor stores there, you want us to get drunk, and then you lock us up for being drunk. So as Black people, we do need to wake up. And we are awakening. We are awakening. I see the young millennials out here speaking so eloquently. I see the Gen Xers out here speaking so eloquently. And I see a few of us baby boomers out here speaking so eloquently. And then I see some of us out here acting fools, like with calling each other names, and it's uncalled for. You can speak of someone. That's what we were taught in my family. And we were also taught if you can't say anything good about a person, just pray for them and don't say anything at all. That's what we were taught. If you can't say anything good about a person, just pray for them and don't say anything at all. And some of you shouldn't have said anything at all, like the Stephen A. Smiths, the Shannon Sharps, the Charles Barkleys, the Shaquille O'Neals. I heard what all of you said because I was a sports fan. I still am, because I was with 2 younger brothers at home and I couldn't watch the TV because if I wanted to watch something, they said, oh no, we got to watch this game. So I learned to call the game, actually. And that's how I learned about sports, and I still follow it today. So I heard what all of you said, calling this man an idiot. Now, with you backpedaling now, who's looking like an idiot? Particularly you, if it's true, Shaquille O'Neal, because it is alleged that the movie played in your theater that you own in New Jersey back in 2019. So what do you have to say about that? And I'm getting ready to close. And I have put forth these 6 challenges to you, the Brooklyn Nets, because what you have done has impacted the entire Black community in America. We are human beings as well. And we deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. We deserve it because we've gone through a lot in this America that is supposed to give liberty and freedom to all. and we put on the money. In God we trust. In God we trust. And if we are trusting in God, we should all be examining our own hearts, our own minds, to see where is the love? Where's the love? Where is the love? So Kyrie Irving and all of my Black community, Kanye West, even though Kanye, sometimes you need to think before you speak. I love all of you. I love my people. As the saying goes, charity starts at home. I love my people. I want to elevate them. However, I love all people. However, I may not like what you say and do, but that's on you as a human being to search your heart, your mind, your spirit, to see who you are and why you do what you do. What is the root cause? Where's the fear coming from? Again, I am Louise Hicks, the host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. I'm on every Sunday about 1-ish Central Time, sometimes at 1 o'clock, sometimes a little after, because I may have some issues that come up, technological issues or whatever. My YouTube channel is aimed, AIMED, the number 2, Purpose Radio. That's Aimed to Purpose Radio. That's my YouTube channel. So go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. Please share this video because it may help someone to better understand why it is important that we as Black people search our roots, and we should not be punished for it, particularly publicly punished for it, because it is a reflection upon all of us as Black people, as well as it impacts all of us as Black people. And being almost 72 years of age, I have seen a lot of racism, and I see it all the time, right here where I live in Texas, right here, right there where I live in California, and right there in Shreveport, Louisiana, where I graduated from high school and went to California and put myself through college. 4 years right out of high school, went straight through. Started in 1969, went to Long Beach City College, then elevated on to California State University, Long Beach, and obtained my bachelor's degree in 1973 from California State University, Long Beach, where all of my children were born, all 3 of them. And I taught my children to love and respect themselves, to speak up for themselves, to articulate for themselves, and to treat people the way they want to be treated, because that's how I was raised. Those are my values. And if all of us practice that and put ourselves through the challenge, we would not be having all of this chaos that we're having today in the world. It would disappear. In a twinkling of an eye, as they say, it would disappear if everyone could search their hearts, their minds, their soul, their spirit. Because it is my purpose out here to help to elevate my people spiritually, intellectually, socially, physically, emotionally, economically. All of these, we have to be elevated and to unify so that we can learn to love ourselves first. Then we can learn to love others and one another. That's how we unify and bring about harmony within our community that could trickle over and help us with other communities. And if other communities can do the same, don't you see what a more harmonious world we would have? I just have to shake my head because I was appalled, like I said, when I saw these commands. And my topic today, before I close, let's talk about born Black, breathing Black, dying Black, Kyrie Irving, a man in search of his roots. Is that wrong? And I say to everyone watching and listening, no, that is not wrong. However, all of these commands, I am appalled, and I do have an issue with them, because I can ask the same of you, Brooklynettes, and I'm asking, you take the challenge. It just because a person works for you doesn't mean that you can take away their manhood, their rights, and attempt to emasculate them just because they have a different belief system than you. That's not right. It's inhumane. You can agree to disagree. And where's the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression that is supposed to be guaranteed by the Constitution? So with that said, remember that when I close my show, I talk about your power, and it's trademarked, my slogan of what I have taught my children and what they're taught from their fathers, because it's so vital that you have your fathers in your lives, particularly as a Black young boy or girl growing up in America. You need to have both parents, loving parents, who are not out here strung out on the drugs, the alcohol, and allowing themselves to be programmed by television. Like I shared with you, Minister Shaw was saying about television. He said, yeah, they call it television because they're telling you what your vision is supposed to be. And we shouldn't be getting our vision from television, because television is a means of programming us to believe the narrative that was set when the Constitution called us 3/5 of a person and their property. And the only property that I feel I am and that I belong to is God. I don't feel that I am anybody's property. And that's why I speak up and I speak out for my belief system. And I don't hate anybody. I am not anti-Semitic by no means. I love people in spite of how some of them treat me. And I pray for them. That's how we were taught in my home growing up. So I'm done until later this evening when I come back on with Minister Fred Shaw at 4:00 p.m. Pacific time, 6:00 p.m. Central time, and 7:00 p.m. Eastern time. If you'd like to mark those times, remind yourself, please come back in, because our topic will be, which Minister Fred Shaw III is spearheading, and he's the founder of Independent Blacks. So we're going to be talking about Black people, because he's the founder of Independent Blacks. So that tells me we'll be talking about Independent Blacks. So join us. I've given you the times. It'll be live right here. And I'm looking forward to it. The guest is supposed to be Dr. Fema Johnson. I hope I'm saying these names right. A Hebrew Israelite. Jewel Bowen, administrator of Basic Life Center Point. And myself, of course, and perhaps my son, Kenan Wesley Mason, may come in if he's available. So I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to sign off. And we know the final analysis is who's running Hollywood, who's running the music industry that's spewing all of this and made all those Black exploitation movies. They came out back in my day, so I know all about them. And we know the hip hop is still going on. and it has really been damaging to our Black community. But who's been apologizing for that? As they laugh all the way to the bank. And always remember, love will conquer hate. And your power lies within you. Let it loose, because your destiny is your command. And again, I am Louise Hicks, your host here of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Inviting you back a little bit later, like I said. And please go to my YouTube channel, Aimed, AIMED, 2, Purpose Radio. That's Aim to Purpose Radio. Give it a thumbs up, give some comments, share this video. It will ultimately be on YouTube as well. So share the video with your loved ones, your friends, and go to my YouTube channel, as I said, and thumbs up and comment. And you may find other content, because I have a lot of content out there that's uplifting, because I'm not going to bring you down if I can't uplift you. Won't bring you down. As my mother told us, if you can't say anything good about a person, pray for them and don't say anything at all. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you a little bit later. Enjoy the rest of your week in case I don't see some of you back. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all of your support. And don't forget now, your power lies within you. Let it loose, because your destiny is your command. God bless. Bye-bye. I love you all.